October 20th, 2014, the Waukesha County Board Executive Committee convenes to interview 8 candidates for appointment to County Board District Seat 15 due to the recent passing of longtime Supervisor Walter Kolb. Chairman Paul L. Decker presiding.
Good morning, sit down there. Right in the middle if you can. For the record, we will need your name and your address.
Sharon Leair, South 42 West 31258 North Street, Genesee Depot, Wisconsin 53127.
Well, good morning and welcome. What will happen this morning is each one of the executive committee will ask you a question, a few minutes to respond, and then if there's any other questions, we'll ask you at the end of that time, okay?
Sounds fine.
I'm going to start with Supervisor Heinrich.
Morning, Sharon. Good to see you again. We sat on the Federated Library Board together. And my question to you is, why are you seeking appointment to the county board?
Well, I've always had a larger view of government as it exists, not just in my own community, but countywide. I've always had an interest in county government. And of course, I didn't expect to be here because I'm here with a little sadness in my heart. Walter was a good friend and a great county supervisor. But I just felt that I could come and contribute somewhat to county government. And through my experience at the town level over the years, you know, I've gained a larger perspective on what we do at the local level affects people at every level of government. And I think we all have to work together and make it happen. And I think governing is more about common sense than it is about politics. So I'm interested. When I first got on the town board, my dad, for about the first 10 years, he was county supervisor here. And we spent a lot of time discussions of local and county affairs, and I think I gained perspective naturally from that.
Thank you. Supervisor Yerke.
Good morning, Sharon. Please discuss a little bit about your background. You have already a little bit, but your characteristics, past leadership experience that would make you a successful county board member, and your expectations as a board member.
Well, I've spent over 30 years in local government. I guess during that time, I've dealt with everything from finance to budgets to roads to tax levies to planning and zoning and other matters that are also handled at the county level. And I think I have some perspective on working with people on those issues. And I think my past experience would help me doing that. And as far as my expectations, if I'm lucky enough to be appointed, I would want to contribute as much as I can. I'm very committed. Once I take a position, I rarely miss meetings, and I would do everything I could to work hard and contribute to the county.
Supervisor Zimmerman.
Good morning, Sharon.
Good morning.
You just touched on this, time commitments. Appointment to this position entails an evening county board meeting and several committee meetings every month, along with appointments to boards or commissions that may meet a couple times a month as well. How would you fit these commitments into your schedule?
Well, I looked at that before I put my name in the hat, so to speak. And I have time. The meetings here would not generally conflict with the ones at the town level. I have a very flexible schedule, and I don't think I know I wouldn't have any problem committing to the job and showing up for the meetings.
Okay, thank you.
Supervisor Jeske.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Please describe your knowledge of county government programs, including what you perceive to be the greatest challenge facing county government.
Well, over the years, you know, I've worked with the county on a lot of issues because we've been under county zoning for many years. And so I've worked with the county on conditional uses and land divisions and the zoning code itself. And I understand, you know, that you have a lot of other responsibilities here, human services, public works, and we do have 81 miles of road too to take care of. But I think one of the biggest challenges is on the local level and on the county level is continuing to provide services at a fiscally responsible cost. And that's something we all face at every level. I'm one who has a philosophy that if you need more money in one spot, you should look for it somewhere else. I don't think anywhere goes good with tax. And I think that you really have to work hard sometimes because the needs are there, and you have to be able to serve the public and provide the services that they need. So the biggest challenge would be continuing to provide those services, maintain your roads, etc., and still keep the taxes within a good area.
Supervisor Wolf.
Thank you. Good morning,
Good
Sharon.
morning.
How do you think your appointment to the county board would serve the interests of the citizens in your supervisory district?
Well, if I'm appointed supervisor, I would be a hands-on supervisor. I would attend meetings, I would contact local officials that I represented. I would make sure I knew what was going on. I'd have my finger on the pulse of the community in every way I possibly could, and I would bring those concerns, if necessary, to the county board. So I would be very active as a county board supervisor.
Supervisor Swan.
Morning.
Good morning.
I'd like to say there are several issues, as you probably are aware of, at the county board level as we speak. Of those issues, which do you think would be your highest priority, number one, and number, kind of a second part, what would you like to accomplish most?
As I said, the priorities were trying to continue to provide services at a reasonable cost. But I think one of the most important things now in this day and age is working with other communities, counties, on joint services if they can possibly be done. I know we do that in Genesee. You know, we have a joint fire department, and we've worked well with the villages at our borders and have negotiated border agreements. I think it's important that you work together with other communities, other counties, to try to find a way to do things jointly and save money whenever possible. So I think the priorities really come down to what I said before, being fiscally responsible, fiscally conservative, but yet being able to provide services for the people. I don't know if I answered all of your questions.
Thank you.
So you mentioned a few times as far as communicating with your local officials, staying in contact. When you look at trying to stay in contact with your constituents, what would you do to do that?
Well, I would probably go to their meetings. Also, I'm chairman of the county unit of the Wisconsin Towns Association, and that's a gathering that takes place quarterly, and I'm able to talk to my constituents at that time also, and a lot of discussions that take place as to, you know, what their problems might be. But more than that, I would call them and probably ask to come and introduce myself at one of their meetings and just sort of find out what is it that they're interested in and you know, what are their feelings on what we could do better maybe if, at the county level if I'm appointed.
What would you, to your constituents, how would you communicate what the role of county government is?
I think I'm someone who likes to sit down individually and talk to people and explain to them what our role is. And I think our role is explaining to them what county services are, how what we do at the county level would affect them on the local level. And then find out from them, you know, what is it that we do on the county level that you think that we could improve on, and how could we help you, how could we work better together with you?
Okay. Do you have any questions?
I don't.
Okay. Well, because your father was on, you have a total understanding of county
No.
government.
I don't, you know, anybody that I find, even being in local government for all these years, I learn something every day. And I think on the county board, I would have something to learn every day, and I would look to my constituents to help me find my way. But I feel comfortable. I think I would feel comfortable as a county board supervisor, and that I would enjoy it.
As somebody involved in a township, do you feel that the relationship between the county towns and your constituents? Is it understood, not understood?
I would think that there are some times when it's not understood, but for the most part, I think that they know the services available at the county. And because maybe it's not understood, maybe there needs to be more communication and more working together to clarify, the issues.
What would you do to help them?
Well, like I said, I would do face-to-face probably and just say, well, what are the problems and where do you think we can do better? And then I would bring those concerns to the county board or to the departments in the county board and let them know.
One of the challenges we face here as Waukesha County Supervisors is we each represent well over 16,000 people, which is much more than most of the county supervisors. So
Yes.
face-to-face is tough.
Oh, yes, but I think if you were able to at least communicate, go to meetings, et cetera, at least they know you're present and that you're there if they would like to call you.
Very good.
Okay.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Well, thank you
Appreciate
for taking time to listen to me.
I appreciate that you applied, really do.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good morning. Please have a seat in the center.
Good morning.
Need your name and your address, please.
Ryan Bedford, W230S4513, Milky Way Road, Waukesha, town of Waukesha.
Glad to have you here.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
What's going to happen is that this is the executive committee of the county board. Each will be asking you a question, and then we will at the end allow you to ask any questions. Okay? I'm going to start this round of questioning with Supervisor Yerke.
All right. Please discuss, well, first of all, good morning. Please discuss your background, characteristics, past leadership experiences that would make you a successful county board member, and your expectations of being a board member.
Well, I think there's two things that kind of shape and mold myself, and that's one is the athletics that I was in. Speed skating, I was in the Olympics in 2010. I traveled the world and did a lot of things that a lot of people don't get to do. And because of that, I have a greater appreciation for what we do in this country, what we do locally in this country. And I feel like the intimacy that the county or the city governments have with the citizens is greater than a nationwide government. So I feel like my experiences abroad gives me that gratitude for what we have here. And I feel like also being young, I feel like I can touch base with more of the younger citizens in this county. I mean, there's, 30% of the county is between the ages of 25 and 35. And those people need a greater representation in the county. And it's good to come from someone who's young and conservative in this area. My expectations for this job, I don't really have a whole lot of background as to what the county board does. So I can't say that I have a huge expectations, but I'm really good at falling into play, doing whatever needs to be done, I do. Whether it was in athletics or whether it's in my professional career now, I find out what needs to be done and I do it. I ask questions, I always ask questions, sometimes a little too much, but try to find out what is needed and we get it done.
Supervisor Zimmerman.
Good morning, Ryan. All right, time commitments. Appointment to this position entails an evening county board meeting and several committee meetings per month, along with appointments to other boards and commissions that probably meet a couple times a month as well. How would you fit these commitments into your schedule?
Well, right now my schedule is very loose. I own and operate my own general contracting and development company, and because of that ownership, I have flexibility throughout the day. Whether it be at night or during the day, I always make room with appointments, meetings. I work on the weekends, but that's because I can flow things around during the week. So that's not even an issue for me. I don't have an hourly set, schedule for work. So.
Okay. Very good. Thank you. Supervisor Jeske.
Thank you. This question might be a little difficult for you since you already said you don't know a lot. But Please describe what you do know about county government and what you perceive to be the biggest challenge facing Waukesha County.
Well, that's a good question. I kind of relate this back to construction in a way. I see the county as for instance, the plumbers, the electricians, the people on the boots on the ground on a construction job. And I see the citizens, the board as more of the designers, the planners, the people that aren't there. So for me, I kind of relate this back to, I would go talk to those plumbers, electricians, and the people that have their boots on the ground to really make sure that they match the communications there. In our field, that's what doesn't happen often enough. There's not enough communication between the electricians, the plumbers, those guys, and it doesn't get back to the designers, so we can design a building that's not efficient, that doesn't work well, that costs more money, and because of that, you know, it just doesn't work. So that'd be kind of my expectations for the board. And one of the things that hits me at home the most as an issue right now with the county is the water problem that we're having in Waukesha. We, as in my family and I, we built a building in Waukesha just a year and a half ago. We put a 25,000 gallon cistern in the basin. The cistern was to collect water, to try to reuse the water. I think that going to Lake Michigan, for instance, there poses some difficulties. Obviously, the cost is high, but I think there's some other alternatives that we have done to combat those problems. So that's kind of one of the bigger issues that I see coming down the pipeline.
Supervisor Wolf.
Kind of going along with that, how do you think your appointment to the county board would serve the interests of the citizens in your supervisory district?
Kind of like I said before, I think that one of the big issues in the town of Waukesha is the water, because it's been said that they wanted to do shallow wells in the area. Citizens are kind of worried about that, and also just my age. There are a lot of young people in the town of Waukesha in the surrounding areas that would be more involved with county government if they had a peer that was maybe a little closer in age. So.
Supervisor Swan.
My question deals with, as you're probably aware, there's several issues that the county board is facing. Of those issues, which do you think is the highest priority? Number one, what would you be your highest priority? And number two, what would you like to accomplish most if you were one?
It's a good question. I like I said, I think one of the higher priorities is the water. I know that's kind of a pressing issue as time goes on because of the time constraints of the government, but I think it's probably key. It impacts a lot of people, probably a majority of the county. So, you know, that's definitely my biggest concern. What was this?
Second part was, what would you see? What would you like to see accomplished the most if you would point?
Oh, what I'd like to see accomplished the most is a bit more, you know, transparency as to what is going on with, you know, with some of these issues. You know, the water department, for instance. And again, I don't know that much because I'm not sitting in your seat, and I don't have some of the information. But I'd like to see some transparency with some of these issues to know maybe if there's a better option. Is there a better option than going to Lake Michigan? Is there a better option for, you know, some of this, the bypass, the 59 bypass around the city has been a long-standing issue. Maybe there's other options. Maybe it is the only option. Some of those things, you know, to get out there and get some feedback from the people, from the workers too, as to what's best.
Supervisor Heinrich.
Thank you.
All right, Ryan. My question to you is basically, why are you seeking the position of county board supervisor?
That's a good question. Actually, my father-in-law was friends with Walter, and he only lives about a mile down the road from us. And I've always wanted to kind of get into small government politics, just, you know, at a local level, because that's where, like I said earlier, that's where people are impacted the most. On a daily basis, you're impacted by your local government. when things happen in the national scheme of things, it kind of takes a while for it to get filtered down, but then locally, it does affect you right at home. And I just feel like having an impact within our community would be good, because I always wanted to give back to my community. I grew up in Michigan. My community was great to me as an individual, and I always wanted to give back to my community.
Okay, thanks.
Ryan, you touched on a few challenges within being a county board supervisor, and one that we all face on a regular basis. And you talked about it, transparency, communication, how people understand, what people really understand about county government. And how would you talked about transparency and getting more of the issues out. I will let you know as chair, as part of my job, from my talk, that's why they elect me as chair. You talked about water. Water is a city of Waukesha, not a county of Waukesha issue, in this case, the water you talked about. So again, the idea of communication and transparency communication. How would you improve communication? Apparently, we're not getting the issues across correctly. So how would you improve it?
Well, I think that part of the problem is that a lot of the younger generation isn't engaged in local politics, and I don't think it's a problem with the board or a problem with county government at all. I think it's just the fact that how do we get some of these younger people, you know, that have kids, engaged in the conversation. And, you know, you could be beating your head against the wall forever trying to figure out how to get it done. But that's one of my thoughts, is that if there's a way, and I'm not saying that I have the answer to everything, but if there's a way to get these younger people involved, you know, to voice their opinion about some of the issues that are at hand, then, you know, that would be my way of doing it. And that's kind of why I feel like I would have an impact, being a younger person on the younger generation, because the majority of the people in this county are of, like I said, between 25 and 35 years old. So, you know, that's why it would work out well.
Okay. The other, again, I follow up on that question. So, in that, because of that regard, what you just mentioned, is there a better way that we need to do to educate them? Because you mentioned the Parkway extension. People used to call this a bypass. It's really a Parkway extension. It's not a bypass at this point. But, so as we look at that, we had several public hearings. We had many issues. We put out things electronically. Newspapers put out a lot. You know, what would you do to improve communications and knowledge, real knowledge and input in issues like that?
I think first and foremost, it starts out with firsthand communication. I mean, right, speaking to people that are of my, you know, age group. I think that's the big thing. It's hard.
So how would we do that?
Well, that's just, I mean, it would literally be going and talking to these people, the people that are, I mean, I have several friends in the industry that are in Waukesha County that own their own businesses, that are younger professionals. You know, it's talking to those people and trying to get those people engaged to engage more people. That's really the only way I see. I don't think that, you know, social media is kind of this new up and coming thing that is trying to interact certain industries with people. But I don't know if that's the way to go on a county government level. It might be, but I don't know. Because I don't think people are in tune with the county government as much as they should be or want to. What's the incentive to be involved, right? They don't understand the real impact that the county government has on their life. But it's just, you know, hammering away at the message that they need to be involved and get their word out.
Okay. Do you have any questions for us?
No, I do not, thank you.
All right, I will be in contact with you later today.
Sounds good.
What takes place.
All right, very much. Nice meeting you guys.
Thank you. Applicant for District 15 appointment. Good morning, Mr. Mitchell, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, supervisors. Thanks for the opportunity. Supervisor Dasky, so sorry to interrupt your report.
All right, what's going to happen is each one of the executive committee will be asking you a question, and then we'll allow you to ask a question if you have any after that. I'm going to start with Supervisor Zimmer.
Good morning. Okay, first question, basic. Why are you seeking appointment to the county board?
Well, I had an opportunity to serve on the county board before, and I really enjoyed my time and felt I did a good job. But basically, I enjoyed it, and like I said, I thought I made a difference at that time, and I'd like to do that again.
Okay, thank you.
Supervisor Jaski.
Could you share some of your background characteristics and leadership experiences that would make you a good county board
Well,
member? And secondly, what your expectations would be as being a board member?
with, as far as the background goes, I don't know if you've shared the resume and other involvements, but I've had, like I say, the opportunity to be on the board before. I was on the executive committee for 2 terms, one as chair of the LUPE and one as chair of judicial, 2 distinguished people now. But the other things that I was involved with is things like other groups. I headed up my local Knights of Columbus. I've been in state organizations as far as JCs. I've been senior vice president of 2 different companies and president and owner of a current company, along with, right now, one of the things different, I guess, is that I am employed by the federal government now, the U.S. Postal Service, but I was working part-time, and basically they hired me as an employee to work with one of their main clients. So that's, I think, overall, any place I've been, I've tried to demonstrate my leadership ability and also being able to think, prepare, and do that. Expectations are pretty much, I would think that I'd probably be more in line with the expectations of being on the board, having done it before. So I know that I'm one of many as far as Board of Supervisors. A lot of people, it's a committee-driven board, so a lot of the work is done in the committee level, a lot of preparation. I did always read ahead of time for all the information to make sure that I felt that I made informed decisions with whatever I did. And then with that, you just kind of go forward with that. And I also try to represent the people in my district. I was always had a phone number, always open to doing things such as signs for the roads, speed zones, some of the more controversial things that came before the board at that time. And again, I try to handle it with a balance of fairness to everybody that I dealt with.
Supervisor Wolf.
Thank you. Good morning. Appointment to this position entails evening county board meetings and several committee meetings every month, along with appointments to boards and commissions that meet a couple times per month. How would you fit these commitments into your schedule?
As stated in the cover sheet, on Monday and Tuesdays I'm available, so I do have some restrictions. It would be harder for me to serve on any committees that meet during the day, Wednesday through Friday. Currently, I serve on the Park and Planning Commission, which is early Thursday afternoons. I try to make as many accommodations I can to make that, but Tuesdays would not be any problem, and I believe Land Use, Parks and Environment, and Human Resources, I believe, meet on Tuesday right now. Those were 2 committees I would be available for. Some I would not. Evenings is not a problem. I have served on a number of commissions and committees in the past, the library board, knowing the budget for the library, federated library system, and the impact of something like the Sussex and Lisbon right now. Those are things you learn over time, and I think I can bring a lot to the table for that. As far as the scheduling, like I say, Monday and Tuesdays are not a problem. Evening meetings are not a problem.
Thank you.
Supervisor Swan.
Bill, good to see you again. The first thing I'd like to say is you mentioned a little bit about your knowledge of county government. Is there any of those kinds of things that you'd like to expand upon because you were here before? And secondly, what do you perceive as the greatest challenges or challenge facing county government?
Well, again, one of the things, and very proud of the job you all do for the taxpayers of Waukesha County. I think one of the things to do is understanding that the cost of government has to be in line with what services you provide, and I think you guys do an excellent job, and lady do an excellent job of that. you know, as I look at things like the investment income is going down, obviously with the market that we live in right now, so there's going to be changes that you have to adapt to, and different things you have to do to make up for that type of thing. So I think budgetary is always going to be one of the top things that is going to be a challenge for the board going forward. More and more things like coming from my experience on the Park and Plan Commission, you know, I'm aware of things like going forward with the Milwaukee initiative with Milwaukee, the recycling, and searching out for more things like that, or the medical examiner having agreements with, I believe it's Walworth and Washington County going forward. Those type of things to expand upon and to try to work agreements. And again, just one of the things that kind of took me back when I saw about the medical clinic going in with the city of Waukesha and the school board. I was thinking, yeah, I have to admit, I said, what are they thinking, you know, when you go into something like that? But then I saw the dollar figures that, you know, it looks like it's going to save the taxpayers on the county side and probably going to be saving taxpayers on the city and school board side. So, you know, again, I applaud looking for those type of avenues, and I think the county board is going to have to continue to do that type of thing. Thank you. Efficient.
Supervisor Heinrich.
Morning, Bill. How are you?
Good.
Good. How do you think your appointment to the county board, how do you think your appointment to the county board would serve the interests of the constituents that you represent in your supervisory district?
Well, and at that time, and there's been a few changes since I was on the county board as far as districts, but at that time I served the town of Genesee, a little part of the city of Waukesha, and half of the town of Waukesha. And as I stated, I was very open to any of the residents' opinions as well as any of their concerns. I tried to be a facilitator for getting things done for them, or at least getting them in contact with the right person in the county to do that. So I think just being receptive to the voters and to all the residents of the district is very, very important.
Thanks, Bill.
Supervisor Yerke.
Good morning. You've touched on some of this, but what would your highest priority be for the Waukesha County Board? And that is, what would you like to accomplish? Is there one or two key ideas you'd like to accomplish?
I don't have an agenda when I'm coming to the board as far as, you know, one thing that I want to get done for sure, or that I think overall, again, going forward, providing the best environment for our citizens at the best rate is what we try to achieve. And I think by doing that, a lot of good things happen. You know, if you're looking for opportunities as you go along to do that, I think, again, from my experience with the Park and Plan Commission, I've always obviously have placed my heart for how we go forward, how we develop the county. And I think it's important to do it intelligently. I always applaud the 5-year capital plan because I think looking forward is one of the biggest things this board does, strategic planning going long term. That's what I like being a part of, is looking at the big picture going forward.
Bill, one of the challenges that you know from your previous experience is the ability to communicate effectively to the constituents about what we do and what the role of county board is. In your time now that you've had a chance to reflect, is there anything that could be done better or can be done to make that more effective?
Well, I'm not nearly as tech savvy as the current chairman is, and communicating to people is vital. And I think the more tools that you have, the web pages are one way, but the other just avenues getting out there and talking with people. I try to make myself available through the community. A lot of people, in all honesty, still call me when they have concerns, and I just kind of point them in the right direction. So I think just having the connections I had before within the community as well as the county helps achieve those type of levels. And again, it's basically pointing people in the right direction to try to get the problem solved.
Is there anything we can do better, or that you think we can do better to communicate the role of county government?
Well, I do think a lot of people still get confused about what the county government is versus their local government. And again, when you look at some of the roads, some are state roads that the county takes care of, some are county roads, some are city, town roads, those type of things. The more you can differentiate and without feeling like you're throwing, this is somebody else's problem. I always try to resolve problems even if they want another entity as far as finding out about it and helping people get to that point. But I think the main thing we can do is try to put that out forward. This is what county government does for you. This is what we're responsible for. This is what we try to achieve for you.
Very good. Do you have any questions?
No, again, I appreciate it, and you know, I'm very honored that you took time to talk with me again. One good thing for all of you, I think, is that the people that I know that are applying for this job, you can't make a wrong decision. So that's the good news for you guys. So I appreciate the time. My only restriction, like I say, is I feel very comfortable offering Monday and Tuesdays. The other restrictions are, you know, just Wednesday through Friday during the day would be more difficult for me.
All right, I appreciate having that information. I'll be in contact with you probably later today, tomorrow at the latest, about our decision.
Well, I appreciate it, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good seeing some old faces and some new ones. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms.
Candidate for appointment, please have a seat and state your name and your address, please.
My name is Ryan Licht, and I live at S30 W27845 Meadow Ridge Court, and that's in the town of Waukesha.
Very good. Well, welcome. Glad to have you here.
Thank you.
Making the application. What will happen is each member of the executive committee will be asking you a question, and I'll ask a question at the end. And then we'll ask if you have any questions.
All right.
All right. So I'm going to start with Supervisor Jaski.
Thank you. Share with us why you are seeking this appointment.
Well, I'm seeking this appointment because I want to serve my community, and I think it's important that the constituents have somebody who will stand firm on taxes, spending, and work on promoting economic growth in the county. I spent a lot of time this summer talking to people in the community, in the supervisor district, and the wider county, and those are the three biggest things that they bring up. So I think those would be things I'd stand firm on and be unwavering.
Okay, Supervisor Wolf.
Thank you. Good morning. Please discuss your background, characteristics, and past leadership experience that would make you a successful county board member and your expectations of being a county board member.
I would say that I have the education background. I went to law school at Liberty University in Virginia. I chose to go there over the local law schools because of their stance on conservative principles and social issues that I am in agreement with. I've had experience in different levels of government. I interned a number of years ago with Congressman Petri in Washington, D.C. I spent a lot of time there working with constituents. You know, I would answer the phone, greet visitors, and respond to mail correspondence that would come in. And you know, my summer was spent working with those issues and helping people with their problems that they call into the congressman's office. I've worked at the county government level. I interned in the Jefferson County District Attorney's Office a number of years ago when I was in law school, back when Mr. Wambach was DA. He's a good friend of mine. I spent a lot of time mainly practicing as a pre-third year law student in court there, and got to know the inner workings of county government. And since law school, I've been working for the federal government, and that brings with it a whole different set of issues to deal with. There's a lot of problems with the IRS, but it would be great if we could get more conservative people in the IRS working on the lower levels. What was the second part of your question after the experience?
How would you fit, what are your expectations of being a county board member?
My expectation, my main goal going in would be somebody who would be a conservative voice for the constituents. My expectation would be somebody who would hold fast on taxes. The board has done a very good job over the last 10 years of holding the tax levy to very minimal increases. That would be something I support. And tax decreases are great too. County board has done a very good job on controlling spending with the budget. Very minimum, very small percentage increase. That's something I would support and continue to work hard to control spending and look for creative ways to even reduce spending.
Thank you.
Supervisor Swan.
Appointment to this position entails evening board meetings and several committee meetings. There's also boards and commissions a couple times per month. And could you explain how these kind of meetings might or might not fit into your schedule?
Evening meetings would work out great. I have a normal 8 to 4 job. I don't have any commitments at night, work-wise. There would be no difficulty in making evening meetings, whether for the county board or subcommittees.
So I might just follow up.
Yes.
If you were on a committee that met during the day, what would you do?
First, I'd talk to the committee and see if they can move it tonight. If not, I do have plenty of leave that I could take, but that would be a secondary option. Nights work best for me. I have a regular job, but if there are meetings that must be held during the day, that wouldn't be a problem, and I could make accommodation to get there.
Thank you.
Supervisor Heinrich.
Right. Please describe your knowledge of county government programs, including what you perceive to be the greatest challenges facing county government.
Knowledge of county programs. The one I probably take advantage of most would be in the Park and Rec department, using the county park and those sorts of things. And the other big aspects of the budget would be the justice, the sheriff, and the judicial system, as well as the proper term at the county level, but the health and human services position is a big aspect of the county budget with that spending. And what was the second part of your question?
What do you perceive as the greatest challenges for county government?
I would say the greatest challenge, one of the big ones, would be personnel workings with contracts and budgeting. My wife's a teacher, and we've seen a lot of positive in her career back then, and all the advantages it brought to her as a newer teacher. And I would think that would be something that the county board should really take those tools into consideration and advantage as we move forward.
Supervisor Yerke.
Good morning. So how do you think your appointment to the county board would serve the interests of the citizens in your supervisory district?
I think that my appointment would be beneficial in that one of my main goals would be taxes. That's all you hear when you go out and talk to people in the community. They always say the taxes are too high. Now, tax levy is made up of numerous different governmental entities, and the county board portion is pretty low. But I would be steadfast and unwavering in keeping the tax levy where it is, and if not, doing all I can to reduce that burden on people.
Good morning. So what would be your highest priority if you joined the board? What would you like to most accomplish?
Kind of recapping what we talked about before, I'd like to be known as somebody who adheres to conservative principles. Sadly, a lot of times, maybe not on the board, but local government in general, we live in a very conservative county for the most part. And for whatever reason, you always hear about these local representatives who, turn out not to be conservative people. And my main goal would be to adhere to conservative principles, to keep taxes low, keep government spending low, if not you can cut some, and be a conservative voice that the people in the district want.
Thank you.
Ron, you've mentioned a couple of things in answering the question so far. Obviously, the communication between county board supervisor and our constituents is critical because of some of the things you mentioned. And that is that they get the understanding of what actually we're doing here. What would you do to get the public more engaged and have knowledge of what we actually do at county government? You mentioned a lot of other issues, a lot of other governments, and some people kind of confuse us with that. What would you do to help?
I agree that's, a lot of times county government level is not on a lot of people's radar. The biggest way to get people involved is communicate with them directly. And there's a lot of different ways to communicate with people. A lot of the younger voters, they like to communicate with electronic means. Older folks, email, newsletters, and stuff like that. But I would say that's a big problem that a lot of people don't realize the work that the county board does, or they start paying attention every couple of years when an election comes up. There's a lot, they focus on national issues, maybe state issues that the board doesn't really deal with. And, I agree that's a tough thing to get them to focus in on what the county board does.
You mentioned a couple of things and your role on taxes. So the fact that we're dealing with a budget where 46% of our budget is unfunded mandates, how would you get that across as far as when you talk about taxes, in a county such as this?
You said unfunded mandates?
Unfunded mandates. Which makes it tough, when you're talking about actually putting a budget together, maintaining a flat tax rate. That's what makes it tough.
I know that the tax issue is very divisive in the community. And I commend the board on the work that's done thus far. It's not easy with everybody on the board to consistently have low taxes, but there's a balance between spending and there's a balance between taxes. The board's done a good job holding the line on the spending, holding the line on taxes, but I don't think that there are not areas that can be carried back, as well as other creative ways to receive funding.
Okay. Appreciate that part. Do you have any questions for us?
No, not really.
Well, really appreciate you being here and for your application. Glad to see people wanting to be involved at the county government level. We really appreciate it. So
Right.
I'll be in contact with you in today or next 24 hours regarding what our decision is. And again, appreciate your time and taking the time to come in and interview.
All right, thank you all.
Thank you. Invite Mr. Whitmore forward. Please take the middle seat. We need your full name and your address, please.
Timothy James Whitmore, and I live at S22 W30854 Bedford Road, which you'll find is probably 100 yards in the district and 300 yards in the south of the district line. So I live in a little finger of District 15.
Good. Well, welcome to the Executive Committee this morning, and we will be asking you a number of questions. Each member will ask you a question, and then I will ask a question and see if you have any questions. So I'm going to start this round of questioning with Supervisor Wolf.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
In my district, kind of surrounds your house. So.
I used to be in your district, until redistricted.
Why are you seeking appointment to the county board?
Well, I currently work for the city of Waukesha, which I would continue to do, but I think early on in 2015, I'll probably be furloughed because my age and also there's not a sustainable fund that would keep my position in place. I think they'll probably spread what I do over a number of positions within the planning department and community development. I'm 64 years old. I don't want to retire completely, and this could be a good opportunity. And I think I would be well representative of the people that live in our district. Thank you.
Supervisor Swan.
Good morning and welcome.
Morning.
Please discuss your background characteristics and past leadership experiences that would make you a successful county board member. And the bigger part of that is your expectations of being a board member.
Well, I've worked in government since 1988 when I took a position with the city. Not in the political end of the spectrum, but in the staff end where we initiated regulation or the direction that was given to us by the city council or various situations. I look at this as being an opportunity to represent the constituency in our district. I think I would be suited to it in as much as I'm reasonably intelligent, I communicate well. I've worked very well and directed some committees from this, when I say directed, not from the city chairmanship, but as a secretary of various committees that the city's had respecting the job that I currently do. I think we have a unique opportunity here in as much as, well, totally not unique, but at least extraordinary in as much as you people get the opportunity to choose somebody you feel may be best suited to fill this position, whereas in a normal situation, the only qualification is the largest number of votes. And I'm not so pompous or arrogant to think that each vote I get makes me a little more intelligent, but I think I would be well suited to do this. I've been involved in government, as I said, since 1970, and I pretty much know the inner workings and how they function. A lot of people don't see what goes on in the county. I think they see the transportation system, they see the sheriff's department, and they probably don't see much, but don't realize how much parks and land use impacts what they do. Other than that, county government's pretty much in the shadows, so to speak. Much of what we do is on the committee level. Much of what you do is on the committee level with oversight, budgeting, and ordinances, and I think I'd be well suited to do that.
Thank you.
Supervisor Heinrich.
Thank you, Timothy. Thanks for being here. My question to you is the appointment to this position entails an evening county board meeting and several meetings every month along with appointments to boards and commissions that meet a couple times during the month. How do you feel that these would fit into your current schedule?
Well, I currently work for the city, and we're managing a lead hazard control grant the city has. This grant will be ended in October. We'll have a 3-month wind-down period. I've worked a lot of hours in the last 3 years. When that winds down, my workload is going to be much less. I've got a lot of vacation time and comp time that I can use to meet these commitments in the near term. Well, I've got enough vacation, I guess I can meet these commitments anytime.
So you feel that meetings during the daytime?
Daytime wouldn't be a problem, and meetings in the evening, I have been on boards and commissions in the past. I've been involved in a 4-H program. Those meetings were always in the evenings. I've been involved in our church. Those meetings were always in the evenings.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Yerke.
Good morning. Please describe your knowledge of the county government programs, including what you perceive to be the greatest challenges facing county government.
Well, I think the greatest challenge, if I take that first, is that we need to deliver the types of services that the county requires at the least amount of expense to the taxpayers. That's our obligation as a supervisor, and we represent the taxpayers in our district. Some of us may be liberal, some of us may be conservative, but we have to look at what's best for the constituents throughout the county. And yet we have to be the voice for our particular district. As I said, county government is probably a shadow government for a lot of people. Everybody sees the state government, they see their local governments. If you look at the tax rolls, it's a very slight amount on anybody's taxes, the county. The one good thing about it is county government is representative. There are some taxing agencies like the technical school district, which is not representative of taxpayers. And I think taxpayer representation is a good thing. As far as departments, as I said, everything that the government does is for the good of the people that work and live within the county. And it's our responsibility to deliver those services at the best means possible for the least amount of money. I don't know if that answers your question, but.
Supervisor Zimmerman.
Good morning, Tim.
Good morning.
How do you think your appointment to the county board would serve the interests of the citizens in your supervisory district?
That's a tough question. Waukesha County is changing, income-wise. It's become an extreme scale in the county. In fact, I deal a lot with HUD, and we are at a disadvantage of this county. We look at services that HUD provides, for instance, where the income level of this county and Waukesha County are used to balance and, so to speak, bring up the income level of, and to average out the income for the Milwaukee County district. And I think that hurts Waukesha County. And we're a changing county. We're no longer agrarian. We're sort of a bedroom community, so to speak. There's a lot of industry in the county. The industry is growing in the county. And I think I'm qualified to represent the people in our district because my income is not so high as I would be considered to be an executive, for instance. I'm sort of average in that respect. We own a home that's above average, but we're able to do that because of some gifting from my wife's family. Other than that, I think I'm pretty much an average Joe. I've been living in this county district all my life. I lived first for 22 years in the town of Genesee. I was born in Waukesha. I moved to the village of Wales. We lived in a house there for 23 years. We built a house in the town of Genesee and moved into that in '95, and that's where we sit today. So we've always been part of this county, and I'm proud of the county. Its workings function well.
Okay, thank you.
Supervisor Jeske.
What would be your highest priority when you serve on if you serve on the county board? And then what would be what you would like to accomplish while serving?
I don't really have any goals as far as the seat would be concerned. I would have a vote for any matter that's up to consideration. I think the most important thing is to best represent the constituents in the district to deliver the goods and services, particularly the services that we have, that the county has to offer, that would be most advantageous to them. I don't know if that answers the question as much as you'd like, but I guess one big goal I have would be to be, I wouldn't say a compromiser, but to be part of a good majority.
Okay. You mentioned several issues, and your knowledge of your inner workings knowledge is very beneficial. One of the challenges we have in this county, as with many counties, is what you said, county government being a shadow government, is people understanding the role of what we do, how we do it. Do you feel there's better ways that we could do communication out to the constituents about that?
Well, I guess communication in government is always good because people need to know what the government stands for and what it represents. As long as things work smoothly and work well, I don't think we have to communicate that. People always see the problems, and I think county boards and government bodies need to anticipate and head off problems before they occur. And they also have to be well qualified to meet any challenge that falls in front of them to the best way possible. But again, any government is responsible to the taxpayers, and I think that's the most important thing with this county body, is to do the best job they can with the resources that they have available to them. County government is represented by the people that serve under this board, whether it be various committee people, the department heads, and the workers out in the field. People see people along the roads doing that work. People see people plowing roads along that work. People see working in the park. If you're involved in building, people see the people in the planning department, the parks department. And it's the people that head those departments. Public health is a very big part of this county. I think we do a super job in that respect. We certainly have a good facility for it now. So I think if we can provide the services that people require, and if we can keep those facilities and the infrastructure in place and working well, we shouldn't have a problem, because that communicates in itself.
Any questions for us?
Well, I don't know. How many years has everybody been on the board?
Supervisor Jaski?
I think this is my 13th or 14th year, but having such a good time that like flies by.
Now, I should know
I
this.
think you and I are about the same, didn't you?
8
come
years.
up?
I'm at 8 years.
Guy's been on,
Swan and I.
Polly and I are like
Yeah.
roommates, classmates.
Not
Came at the
roommates.
same time. We are in the room up there.
Okay, okay.
I'm only at 5.5 years, so that's why it's a surprise to me that I'm at this position. But it's been, as Supervisor Jaski said, it goes by very quickly. It's been a pleasure serving this board as chair because of the way we tackle the issues. Just what you brought up a couple of great points that I think one of the challenges is that we have to take on issues that some people want to duck and cover from. We take them on. I'm very proud of the work that happens in the committee. I stress that, as these are the chairs of all the committees too, that's where the work takes place. And they do a great job of having their committees ask the questions that need to be asked. They try very hard to get public input, which I really appreciate. And that's really one of the issues. And the communication issues is truly a genuine challenge to us, to let people know what the role of county government is, and that we do it in a very efficient model here. And the chairs of the committees are, I always feel that I want to commend them for the work they do because it's where the work is at.
I came on the county board in 2007. Prior to that, I did 8 years city government for
It's a good question. I had to sit here and count.
I
I'm starting on my 4th term, so I guess it's about 7 years.
so it's a 2-year term?
2-year term.
I should know that, but I didn't.
Yeah.
I am relatively new.
I read that in the phone.
I sat in that chair last fall
Uh-huh.
and went through this same process, and I was elected in the spring election in April.
Now, I want to say one thing. I travel around the state, and I'm proud to say that Waukesha County does not have a sales tax, and they don't have a wheels tax.
Yes, and I will say that as representative of this board, that that issue comes up in a positive and negative light. And, you know, a lot of the,
I'm sure it does.
a lot of the, it just came up, I was at a meeting on Friday, came up at several different meetings I was at. So it's an interesting time as far as, you know, being the county, especially of our size, without a sales tax. That comes up over and over. How do you do it with the size that we are?
Well, it's tough to make ends meet. You have to look at which services you're going to deliver and who's going to pay for them and who benefits from them.
Right. But it is also one of the things that I know in defending our AAA bond rating, that's also works in our favor. So it's, and again, those are the small things that we don't get communicated as well as we'd like to. And that's really the AAA bond rating also saves us hundreds of thousands of dollars as we are able to build and keep the infrastructure growing as our economy continues to grow in this county. Any other questions? That's a good question. It's, I think, the first time most of us were sitting there going, how many times? So, because it does go by, as Supervisor Jaski says, it does go by, and next thing you know, you're at the next one, and it just keeps on going.
So I'd say representatively, this is a fairly young board as far as the longevity.
Yeah, you know, and I think to Supervisor Heinrich, I served on the planning commission for the village of Heartland for 9 years before taking this job. So I think having some infrastructure experience is very beneficial to see how things work and how your vote counts and what people would think is small things in a village, how can affect the long-term benefit of the citizens. That does make a difference.
Right.
Good. Anything else for Timothy? Otherwise, I'll be in contact with you in the next 24 hours, shorter, and as we conclude what our appointment process.
Very good, and thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you.
I felt kind of disadvantaged because the last guy in the room usually has the biggest advantage. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The meeting going and have our next candidate for the appointment, Mr. John Marek. John, have a seat. We need your name and your address, please.
John Marek, W236 South 4526, Whispering Hills Court, Waukesha.
Very good. Well, welcome. What's going to happen is there will be a series of questions from each one on the executive committee. I will ask the last question, and if you have any questions, we'll take those at the end. Okay? And let's see, what am I at? I think I started Supervisor Swan this time.
Okay, good morning and welcome, John. Thank you. My question is, why are you seeking this appointment to the county board?
I think I have a depth of experience both in the private sector and now some limited experience in the governmental sector that would be very helpful to the board.
Thank you.
Supervisor Heinrich.
Good morning.
Please discuss your background, characteristics, and past leadership experience that would make you a successful county board supervisor and your expectations of being a county board member.
My background, going most recent backwards, I'm a real estate developer. We also buy and own and manage our own real estate. We're a general contractor also. We focus primarily on senior housing and then our own commercial projects. I like to find solutions rather than see the things that are wrong. I try to figure out what we can do to make it right. Before that, I was in the automobile business for most of my life. Ran Bayshore Chevrolet and Bayshore Oldsmobile. Previous to that, had several different managerial positions in other stores, Cherokee Lincoln Mercury, Dukas Oldsmobile, both of those are gone now, Best Cadillac. We also were a pretty large importer for vehicles from Canada to the United States.
So those are your experience. What do you expect? What are your expectations when you become a board member? What do you expect? Your role as being a board member.
I think that there is, in today's trying economic times, that we should probably be focusing more on intergovernmental cooperation. Things like the recycling program that the board just kicked off recently. That's going to save the town of Waukesha a great deal of money, as well as most of the other communities around Waukesha County. I think more cooperation between communities is very, very important, and I would like to be a driving force behind that.
Okay, thanks.
Supervisor Yerke.
Appointment to this position entails an evening county board meeting and then several committee meetings every month that are during the days, along with appointments to boards or commissions that meet a couple times a month. How would you fit this commitment into your schedule?
I'm self-employed and have a great deal of ability to choose when and where I work. I don't have much of a committed schedule on a day-to-day basis. So it's very easy for me to fit evenings and daytime meetings in.
Supervisor Zimmerman.
Good morning, John. Please describe your knowledge of county government programs, including what you perceive to be the greatest challenges facing the county.
Tough question. Probably the most difficult challenges facing this county and any other governmental agency would be budget and trying to balance that budget and keeping the budget in line with services. Could you repeat the first part of your question?
Yes, your knowledge of county programs. Or knowledge of the county government in general, how the county government works, programs, et cetera.
Well, are you asking, obviously you have the DPW, you have the county court system. I'm not sure I understand it.
Just kind of your knowledge of it, your understanding, do you have some understanding of how county government works, or is it kind of new to you, or?
It's going to be new to me. It's going to be a learning experience, yes.
Supervisor Jaski.
If you're appointed to the county board, how would you best serve your citizens in your district?
I'm a fiscal conservative. I'm conservative all the way around. And I think that watching our dollars that are coming into county government, state government also, local government, and while not affecting the services that we all receive, it would be a very important part of my service.
Thank you.
Supervisor Wolf.
Good morning. What would be your highest priority on the Waukesha County Board? That is, what would you most like to accomplish?
I think the most important thing that I would like to be a part of and accomplish would be intergovernmental cooperation for various services. And again, I point out again the recycling program. I think that's a huge success for the county and all of the municipalities involved. And I think that there's the ability for more of that type of involvement.
Thank you.
Good. Well, you brought up a couple of issues during the answering of the questions, and I think one of them is the intergovernmental cooperation. And one of the challenges we have is the communication challenges of getting that out to the public, the benefits thereof. How would you, since you have a role in local government, improve communications to constituents about what we do, how we do it? I think the Supervisor Zimmerman's question to you, how county government works, apparently we have a challenge for people to understand what that is. How do we improve that?
I think through communication with each of the municipalities that are part of the county and having the leaders in those communities relaying that information to their residents would be a good start. Emails, obviously you guys are involved in media releases to the Freeman and perhaps even the Milwaukee Journal.
Any other ideas on that issue?
I think the most important would probably be getting together with the leaders in the various communities and having them get the word out to their residents.
While we have you here as a leader of one of the leaders of those communities, what do you see as the challenges in terms of understanding the role of county government and the communities, in this case, the town of Waukesha? Is there some way we can improve that communication?
I think it would be important to have the supervisors in the various districts be present at various meetings, whether it's a town board meeting or a city council meeting. Let it update us, let us know what's going on.
Okay, good. Do you have any questions for us?
I do not.
Okay. Thank you for taking the time to join us. I will be in contact with you again probably later today or within 24 hours about the appointment that we make. And I really appreciate the applied and your time to join us this morning.
Thanks. Thank you. Good morning.
All right, while we're waiting for the next one. Good morning.
Good morning.
I need to have you please state your full name and your address.
Gary Robert Mengel, South 52, West 23453, Partridge Lane, and that's Waukesha, Wisconsin, 53189.
Well, welcome.
Thank you.
And what we're going to do this morning is we'll have a series of questions asked by members of the executive committee. I will ask a final question. And then if you have any questions, we'll take it at the end.
Great.
All right. So the first question will be posed by Supervisor Heinrich.
Hi there.
I have a very basic question for you. We all have a copy of your resume and such. But my question to you is, why are you seeking the appointment to the county board position?
Sure. I've been a resident of Waukesha County my whole life. I've got my roots here, my family's here, my wife's family is in this county. You know, we're very dedicated to this area. We like this area of Wisconsin. This is where my roots are. When I heard about the unfortunate passing and the opening of this district, I had a long process of thinking about, could I get back to the community? Could I get more involved with my, the needs of my neighbors, my district? So I wanted to try to, see what I could do to give back and to do some public works. I've been in the private sector for 22 years. I've, got a lot of experience there, but I don't have a lot of opportunity to show my support for the public sector.
Okay, thank you.
Supervisor Yerke.
Well, you've mentioned a little bit about your background, but could you discuss your background, characteristics, past leadership experiences, and those that would make you a successful county board member and your expectations of being a board member.
Sure. I am a senior project manager at Northwestern Mutual. I've been working at Northwestern Mutual as first a contractor and then as an employee for over 17 years now. I'm used to dealing with projects where we got to worry about managing budget, managing scope, timeline, our client-driven requirements. You know, there's a lot of that kind of experience that I feel that I could utilize in this type of a role on committee assignments or tasks that would come up that I'd be suited for to help assist with. So I do have the experience. I also went back to school. I got my Master's of Business Administration and my Master's of Project Management to try to learn these skills and to, you know, hone them through my work. So I'm hoping to be able to apply a lot of those skills that I used in the private sector into this type of a role. My expectations are very simple. You know, I want to get more involved in the community, more involved in the governance, you know, to what extent I can. You know, I'm not looking to, you know, to go on a national level or to expand beyond my horizon. I just want to get back to my community and to, you know, provide what benefits that I can pass on. I don't think, did I get all the perks?
Pretty much.
Okay.
Supervisor Zimmerman.
Good morning, Gary.
Good morning.
So appointment to this position entails an evening county board meeting once a month, several committee meetings per month in the daytime, as well as appointment to other boards and commissions. How would you fit these time commitments into your schedule?
I think it would work well. I've got a pretty flexible schedule with my private sector work. I can work from home. I can, you know, I take some vacation time if it's something that I can't work around or make up or work on the weekends or stuff like that. So I've got a very flexible schedule that I could adjust to whatever meetings or needs that we have here, just like today. So I don't foresee that as a problem.
Okay, thank you.
Supervisor
Morning.
Jeske.
Morning.
Please share your knowledge of the county government programs, and then what would you see as, identify as a county challenge that we're facing at this time?
I don't have tons of experience in the local government and their processes. I'm hoping to gain more of that and get more involved. You know, I haven't to this point really done an intensive study of what's going on there. I know that we do, you know, work with people that need training through the WCTC or different technical training areas or stuff like that. So my knowledge might be there might be a little gap there that I need to pick up, and I feel I could pick up. I just need, you know, to know what resources I can go to find out more of this information. And you know, I'd like to, you know, get a good understanding of where we're at with our programs and look at my if I were nominated here to look at the constituency for the district I'm in and do some door knocking and understanding what they're really concerned about. So I try to make it more driven from you know what I hear than from what, you know, I might have some preconceived notions of what they might want.
And can you identify any of the challenges we're seeing in county government?
Well, there's always a challenge of budget. You know, no one wants to pay taxes or increase any kind of supplemental tax or anything, but the government still needs to operate. So I can understand there's a balancing act there between raising the appropriate amount of funds for programs and works that are truly needed versus, you know, trying to minimize the burden on the taxpayer.
Thank you.
Supervisor Wolf.
Thank you. As a follow-up to that, how do you think your appointment to the county board would serve the interests of the citizens in your supervisory district?
Well, hopefully, like I said, I'd like to, get out there more face to face with the people in the neighborhoods that I would represent and really get a good feel for what they really are standing for, what their concerns are, and see what I could have influence over. It really, comes down to me being able to reach out to them and getting that feedback.
Thank you.
Supervisor Swan.
Yes, sir. Thanks and welcome.
Thank you.
There are several issues of highest priority on the Waukesha County Board as we speak. What would you like, and besides those issues, which do you consider like your highest priority? And what would you like to most accomplish?
One of the things that I think is, being from a person that hasn't been really involved in the public sector in the past, I think there's a disconnect for a lot of people in the county as far as what are they actually getting from the government, what's actually available for them, and how are we helping them. So whatever programs we decide to do or decisions we make, we really got to get out there and make sure we're communicating that in a good way, so they can understand the benefits of why we're doing what we're doing and how we're going to do it, and not just look at it as, oh, it's just more overhead that they have to pay for in an already burdened society. So the communication aspects of it, the marketing aspects of it, how do we get our voices heard so that the average person understands what we're doing on the local level. They hear the national level all the time and their ads and their big budgets and everything, but they don't hear lots. The average person doesn't hear a lot on the local level on what the county is actually doing for them.
Thank you.
And I'll follow up on it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it. You just brought up as one of our biggest challenges. So how would we do that?
Like I said, a lot of it could be, a lot of door knocking, talking to people, getting our presence out there. I know a lot of people are already doing that, but, that's a big part of it. Town hall meetings, cooperative discussions with local radio stations and stuff like that without overburdening our budget, but really getting out there, being in the public's view a lot more. So I know it's a challenge, and I'm not trying to criticize anyone here, but I just think that there's, that's something that could really help everybody is if we can, do more of that.
Yeah, I guess the challenge is, and that's why I asked the question, the county executive had 3 town hall meetings just to explain the entire process, the entire budget, plus did it this year for the first time, a Twitter town hall meeting. And the amount of people, probably on percentage-wise of citizens would have been minuscule, being very generous. We just heard our county finance committee was willing to talk about anything within the budget to the county board, and they had 15 minutes open and nobody showed up for that. So we're making a lot of efforts.
Oh,
I guess, and it would be different if there's town hall meetings, there's committee meetings. I know that, I know from the county board standpoint, we put out a lot of press releases, so does the county executive, regarding these issues. And yet we don't get the public involved. So as somebody in the analysis business, as we analyze a challenge, I'm asking, quite point blank, when we analyze, and you have to do an analysis at Northwestern Mutual with your background project, how do we do that best? Because I want to state this perfectly clear. We have a very, very genuine interest to engage our citizens much more effectively. It's one of the things, staff will know it, the people that put me as chair will, this is a passion of mine. How do we engage the constituents better? So I'm asking the question since you have some technical background.
If it were an effort that I was driven at, was trying to direct them, and we needed the feedback, and we weren't getting it, what I would, there's a number of tools out there or process where you can, try to, do some polling of, the people that you can meet face to face, say, how can we, what mediums do you use to, or would you want to see? And try to, from the sampling that we can do, there's only so much you can do in person, knocking on doors, because you're obviously very busy people. But for the amount of people you can reach, trying to get them to suggest, what are the best ways to reach them, and how would they want to be communicated to, and what, would direct mailings mean anything to you, or would you throw them away? Would phone calls be helpful, or would they be annoying? All these different types of media to try to see, what they prefer, and even district to district, it could vary slightly, as, depending on the backgrounds or the types of people that you have in your district. If they're, the younger generation versus the older generation, So I think you're going in the right direction, and you're reaching out and doing the Twitter, but, we just need to keep that high on the agenda to always try to see how we can reach these people better, how we can reach more of our demographic in a better way. So.
Okay. Do you have any questions for us?
Well, I do want to start out with just and to say thank you for everyone for at least let me come in and discuss this opportunity with you. So I do appreciate this opportunity. And if things work out for us, I would love to be able to help out and do what I can do to make a difference. So I appreciate that opportunity. Like I said, my extended family, I've got a lot of people in this community, in this county that are all relatives that have grown up here and have been here for many, many years. So, and even within my own family, we've got the whole breadth of different, experiences and different opinions on government and politics and everything. So I can imagine if you expand that out to the whole county and all the constituents, that you're going to get a whole variety of feedback. I don't really have any questions per se, but I just wanted to take this opportunity to thank you all for giving me this opportunity. And hopefully it'll work out. If it doesn't, maybe there'll be opportunities in the future that I definitely want to pursue as far as, looking at perhaps, one of the future election cycles. So.
And you have left your phone number? Correct?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'll be in contact with you somewhere in the next 24 hours.
Oh, okay.
As far as what we come up with as far as the appointment.
Okay.
I really appreciate you coming by and taking your time this morning. Glad we were able to accommodate you. But for those of you who don't know, we had Mr. Mengel applied on Columbus Day. We had a challenge, so we decided that we let all 8 constituents be part of the process. So, or 8, not 8 constituents, but 8 people that wanted to try to be appointed. So I'm glad that worked out. Glad to have you here, and thank you for your interest. Really,
thank you.
I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're a half hour ahead of time. When I'm there, I represent the county board, and I take that very seriously, not just the district I represent. So appreciate everybody's input on that. And, thank you. Get back to our meeting, and thank you, McCarthy, for showing up. We need your name and your address, please.
Sure. My name is Joel McCarthy, and the address is West 235 South 5575 Big Bend Road, town of Waukesha.
Well, welcome. We're glad you could join us this morning. We're obviously running ahead of schedule, which is efficiency, is what we like to do here in Waukesha County. So what we're going to do is ask you a series of questions by the executive committee. These are the heads of the different board areas that we represent. I will ask a question at the end, and then we'll take your questions. Okay?
Sounds good.
So the first question, this goes to Supervisor Yerke.
Hi. Real simple, why are you seeking this appointment to the county board?
Well, I'll tell you, for me personally, I don't have an agenda. I've never served in public service before. But I did know Walter Kolb, and we'd had some conversations, and when I saw that there was an opening, I thought, hey, maybe this is time to step up. I live in the district, and so, you know, I really am here to be a representative of the people that live in District 15. I don't, like I said, I don't have any kind of political agenda or any of that kind of stuff, so it was more of just public service.
Supervisor Zimmerman.
Good morning. Please discuss your background, characteristics, and past leadership experiences that would make you a successful county board member. And 2, what are your expectations for being a county board member?
To answer your first question, you know, from a business perspective, I've worked for a couple of corporations in which I've led. As the global director of environmental health and safety, I had 53 different locations around the world I was responsible for. I had about 35 reports to me that were broken down by Asia Pacific, you know, EMEA, and also in the U.S. or North American operations. So I had 3 people that reported to me that way. You know, from a leadership perspective, you know, I've had, I guess, I don't know, numerous different opportunities, whether as a facilities manager, directing the environmental health and safety side of things, that I've worked with a number of different people, directing, leading what we're going to try to do as a company, whether it's environmental health and safety or facilities. As far as what would make me a good county supervisor, I guess, for me, it's really about listening to the people in the district, and that's really my goal would be to try to help communicate to the people that live in the district what we're doing as a group, what the county is doing, and what might be affecting them, so that they know about what's happening, what the county board is doing. So that would really be my focus, is to communicate. I don't have a, you know, I don't have a long-term vision. This is what I want to do for my life or anything. It's really, like I said in the beginning, is to do, you know, some public service and help during this interim time when Walter Kolb had passed away and there was going to be a time of a vacancy.
Okay. So. And your expectations of being a board member?
Yeah, I'm sorry. My expectations would be to learn more about what's going on in the county, get a better understanding of what's happening in Waukesha County and what's happening in District 15, what are some of the issues that are going on in the district. And my expectations are just that, just to be provide communication, be a listener of the people that are in the district, and bring that back to the board and work with the members of the board to do what's best for the county.
Okay, thank you.
Supervisor Jaski.
Thank you, Carl.
Hi.
We meet once a month in the evening, Tuesday evening. However, there's a significant time commitment other than that one board meeting. We have committee meetings that you have to serve on 2 committees, and they meet during the daytime. And then we're also asked to do things like serve on RFPs, a request for a proposal, and some boards and commissions. There's always openings on those. What would be your availability for these?
Yeah, I appreciate that. I think when I contacted, it was Sarah, she's here somewhere, but she shared that with me, and I appreciated that. Because I have a full-time job, and you know, my issues, you know, looking at it and talking to my supervisor, not an issue from the standpoint of the nightly meeting and getting to the meetings during the day. If there's a number of other commitments associated with the role, then I would need to consider that, because like I said, I have a full-time job. I could do the Tuesday meetings, and I could do the evening meeting. But if there's a much more, a bigger scope to the job, then it would be, that would be good to know, because
that might affect if I could do it or not.
Supervisor Wolf.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Please describe your knowledge of county government programs, including what you perceive to be the greatest challenge facing county government. So what do you know about the county and government?
That's a good question. You know, I want to be upfront, you know, I mean, it's not, like I said, I haven't been involved in it before. You know, as far as the county government, the structure of how it works and dealing with the townships and dealing with the cities and all that kind of stuff. You know, I'll be honest with you, it's not, I don't know. I haven't been involved with it, so I'm not gonna try to, you know, pretend that I do. So it's just, I've lived here, my wife and I have lived here, raised our family here for 23 years. It's a beautiful place. Having traveled around the world, I mean, when I come home from trips, it was great to get back here because it's a beautiful area, beautiful place, beautiful part of the state even where we live. So that's really that's it. I can't tell you, say, hey, you know, I know exactly how the government works in the county, and I don't, you know. But anyways, that's where I'm coming from.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
yeah.
Supervisor Swan.
Good morning and welcome.
Thank you.
How do you perceive that you would serve your citizens of your supervisor district?
You know, for me, I think like I said earlier, I would like to be a good communicator with them, whether I can share with them through the media, through the paper, through the Freeman, or through internet, something about what we're doing, what the board is doing as it affects them, and how they can reach me and contact me so I can bring what they want done to the committee, to the board. And that's really that would really be my focus, is just to be someone who's a good communicator with them and let them know what's happening, and they can get back to me and let me know what their interests are. I can bring that to the board. Thank you.
Supervisor Heinrich.
Hey, Joe. My question to you is, what would be your highest priority on the Waukesha County Board? That is, what would you most like to accomplish?
For me, what I'd like to accomplish is, as far as, I think I said it before, is communication with the people in the district. I know for me personally, it was something that was difficult, I mean, to know what was happening. Didn't really always know. And, you know, we get the Freeman and read the Freeman, and you can look on the internet. But it was tough sometimes to find out what was going on. So to communicate out to people in the district, that would be the priority for me. I know there's issues, and there's some issues related to water as it relates to the town in the district, and it relates to the city, some land use issues and things like that. I'm familiar with that. But I wouldn't have a specific, like I said before, I don't have an agenda or something I'm trying to accomplish. It would be more to be a representative of the district and communicate with them what we're doing and what's happening.
So now, Joe, you mentioned communication, and I think we all understand that pretty well. It sounds like you educate yourself what's going on in your community, and you read things in Freeman. And then if you had questions, you could follow up your questions then with Supervisor Kolb or anything like that. And if you didn't, how would you attempt to change that so then your constituents then would communicate with you?
Well, that's I guess that would be the challenge. It would be, you know, hey, if you had something, if I put something in the paper and said you can contact me this way or that way, whether I had my own, whether it was a Gmail site or something on the internet that people could contact and get feedback, give feedback, make it easy to get feedback from the constituents. I think that would be my focus.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll follow up to that question, because as chair, we were just talking, that's one of the biggest challenges we have. We all have county board email sites that are open to the public. Our phone numbers are known. I could go around the executive committee and ask how many phone calls or emails they received on all these pressing issues in the last 6 months. probably would be a resounding, very small amount. We discussed earlier that we go out by, we did the county executive did 3 town board meetings talking to the constituents about the budget, and the attendance from the public was less than the number of people that are in this room right now, in all 3 meetings combined. We did a Twitter town hall meeting. We've done other things. Is there anything with your business experience, your background, that we can do better to gain a foothold into the households of our constituents?
I think one of the things that's a struggle is, unless it affects me directly, there's probably some people who don't care, to be honest. It sounds horrible, but I mean, you know, if someone's gonna build a subdivision right next to my house, and I'm concerned about that, then I'm probably gonna go to a meeting. I'm gonna go to a meeting and say something, or if they're gonna drill a well or something like that. I have found that there are certain people, there are some people that are very much internet savvy, and that's where they get their information. They get it from the internet, and as long as they know about it, they'll go there. And then there's a lot of people that don't, and they read the paper, and they get the paper, and that's where they get their information from. So I think you have to reach out from a communication standpoint. You have to go both directions. And then the other part is like you said, and it's too bad if there's meetings being held in areas and people don't show up. But you know, that's the other part of it too. Whether you hold a meeting somewhere in a different districts or whatever, to try to encourage people to attend and get that information out. But you know, to answer your question, for me, I would say, you know, newspaper related and also internet related. That would probably be the best.
So we're doing that now, that's why I'm asking.
You're doing that now?
We're doing it now. We're very, very heavily saturated on all 3 fronts. Updating our website, which does need updating, and you know, trying to improve our digital presence. But I know that we put notices out on a regular basis of all these things, and that's why I'm asking. You know, and if you've read articles, but how do we improve that? How do we improve that communication? Because your first area was that you talked about listening, and listening to your constituents. How would you improve doing that?
Well, I mean, to me, those are the areas that I would be thinking of. I mean, I don't see in my time reading the Freeman, which both my wife and I, we read the Freeman. I didn't see or don't see information on if there's particular board meetings taking place, or I haven't. I mean, not that it stuck out with me. Maybe it was a small little ad, maybe it was something bigger. I don't know, but it doesn't resonate with me as seeing that. And I've gone to the website on occasion to look at stuff, but it's not a regular everyday kind of thing.
That's one of the challenges we have, and we try to overcome it in various ways. Do you have any questions for us?
No, I guess I just would, you know, just like to say I certainly appreciate Walter Kolb's dedication and service, you know, public service. I think he did what he could do, and he did a good job, you know, for the district. So appreciate that, and I appreciate you taking the time today to talk to me. I really am just, my interest in this is really more for, you know, just a public servant standpoint. I don't have a long-term agenda for it, but I thought, you know, filling the vacancy for time and learning about, you know, county government and how it works too. So
We appreciate very much you taking the time to apply, the time to come in front of us to learn more. As part of our communication process. Hopefully you'll spread that out into the district regardless of what happens. And I'll be in contact with you within the next 24 hours regarding the appointment that we make, and we'll go from there.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good day.